5, 4, 3,
Don't touch me.
1,
Don't touch me.
0.
Pandemic suck.
Lift off.
DeLoreans were fueled by cocaine.
Welcome now to the Crank Revolution Podcast, your source for cycling shenanigans. Listen now to our hosts, the purveyors of pedals, as we teach you more about cycling every single episode. So sit right back, pop a cold one, and enjoy our show.
Oh, it's finally happening, guys. We are here for season 2. Season 2.
Wait, is that many fingers?
On a podcast, that's a great visual reference there. Thanks,
Oh,
Greg.
darn it.
But I'm Jeremy here. I'm one of the hosts of the Crank Revolution Podcast. We have been away from you for far too long. We've got TC in the studio, Greg, and Merc.
Hello.
We missed
Mark.
you.
Hi. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really fine.
Are you?
Yeah, it's been weird. We haven't been together for how long now?
What, couple hours?
Yeah.
No, I think it's been a couple of months, and we've missed you guys. I know a lot of you have been just waiting for us to come back. I think what we've learned about the show, pandemic aside, it really works well to do a bicycle podcast in the off season and
Yes.
then to take 3 months off during the crazy season. I can't even imagine what it would take to try to do a weekly episode when we're working 70-hour weeks building 30, 40 bikes.
Yep. It's just, this summer just worked way too much and just lived in this here bike shop that we're sitting to record right now. Not possible to record a podcast in peak season for a busy bike shop.
I mean, we could just record TC banging away with a Allen wrench or something with a loud ring and then
Just a
occasionally
lot of-
an
just a
expletive.
lot of profanity
That's
in
what it
there.
would be like.
a lot.
My big goal for next year, ever see where like the zoos will have like a live camera you can just log into and watch the giraffes? We should just do one right here in the studio.
But
for
we got to have a
TC.
treat button. You guys got to be able to give me treats. I just need a dispenser, and I will just go tap on the bar.
How long will it
and-
take that Pavlovian response? Yeah.
Jolly wrench is just raining down.
So that is definitely a good project. Guys, we're being as lighthearted as we can be because, of course, this has been a rough year for a lot of people. So, yeah, getting a TC a treat button sounds absolutely fantastic. Now that we have been outside of this kind of looking back at the year, let's talk about one thing. Bikes in 2021, can we expect there still to be shortages?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all hoping like this 2020, it's like 2021, January 1st, yay! But no, it's going to be a little rough. So what we'd like to tell people is we've got more people riding than ever before. More butts are on bicycles. People are out enjoying their trails. TC, one of our vendors, is offering like trail grants to people to put in more trails. So this is really an awesome time kind of to take a look at. We're going to have to do a lot more next year, but see if you can get involved with your local bike clubs or local trail authorities. See what you can do to build those infrastructures, because right now we've got a couple awesome ones. We've got Andres Bike Park in Carpentersville. We've got Raceway Woods, Palos.
Well, so one of the big things in like the mountain bike world is that, riders should be digging and maintaining and cleaning as much as they ride. And it's something that like I absolutely need to get better about. I would like to think that some of my work in the shop is me doing some trail good by getting more people out, getting people there, applying for trail grants, doing those things. It's been really cool looking at some of the pages on Facebook for the local areas where people are riding and the groups that manage those, and people just going out, hey, I just cleaned up this section of trail, just kind of posting out those things, going out, walking with their family to get them accustomed to the trails and to go clean them up.
And it matters even more now than ever before because there's so many more people out there.
Yeah.
Riding trails who didn't know the right behaviors of how to treat it all.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a learning curve we've all gone through. And I went out with some guys today, and we broke a number of rules. Riding before the sun was up, having a dog off leash. We were doing those things, but at 6 a.m., there's really not too many other people getting in the way.
Does anyone know legally, does a podcast count as like
I didn't say
a full
where or
confessional
what time
okay.
or what we did. I didn't say who was riding at night or what dog was.
It was Alberta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he drove into the shop after that.
Well, so that's the thing, guys. Now that if you're out there enjoying these things and you see so many more people on bikes, guys, if you don't have a local bike club, set one up. If there is somebody who's maintaining trails, get out and get involved. But we're going to catch up with some of our hosts. Now I'm looking around the beautiful Crank Revolution Bike Shop. Why do I say beautiful? Merc, you came in with your magic saws and made a lot of things happen.
I tried.
Mostly sound.
Well, yeah,
saws.
it was
They're very
big and
loud.
I felt like Bob the Builder for a little bit.
It's just so funny, though, because keep in mind, guys, if you work in a bike shop during the summer, you were just wound up nonstop. You're going to 11, and then all of a sudden there's a day where it's cold and it drops. So right away I called up Merc. TC was out of town. We're going to get to that in a moment. But it's like, hey, let's build some stuff. And if you look on our Facebook at Crank Revolution, you can kind of see we built this awesome pain cave. Tonight you were polishing off what's like the service bar. We're going to lacquer that up.
It's actually,
beer.
you know what? We should put up a screen so people can watch TC, drink their coffee, possibly throw some treats at them too, since we get one
the
back there.
mesh screen so the
Yeah.
bottles.
We got to put up little
Yeah,
drapes and
exactly.
everything. We can charge admission. Just pull the drapes when it's at the end of the show.
So we just went from a live stream with a treat button to now putting him in a cage. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Your local
got to
mechanic.
monetize everything.
So, Burke, what else have you been up to in the last couple of months? How's your fitness? How's everything going in this strange world?
My fitness is terrible, if we're going to be honest. But you know what? I have a really clean house right now.
I'm actually kind of jealous.
It's been so quiet. I don't have to go into any of the shops. Most of my customers at my personal shop they're slowing down. So it's been quiet, just cleaning, and it makes me happy.
Well, TC, you were not exactly a homebody over the last month of October at all.
Yeah, so I bought a van and then lived in said van for the month of October.
Down by the river.
I mean,
Thank
on
you.
nice nights I
You had
was
the
down
same
by a
suit.
river. I mean, a lot of times I was just in the desert. But so no, I bought a van.
Walmart parking lots?
Lots of those.
No, okay.
Rest areas. But so no, I lived in a van for the month of October and drove all through the west, southwest, south, like all over the country. Didn't hit either coast though. But yeah, about 20 states, rode in about 8 different states. And just, spend a month just on the road. No real plan, just kind of taking day by day, exploring with my dog.
The thing I love with it, you and I have done those kind of like crazy things. We've done stealth camping and when we're going across California and Oregon, things like that. But this is a little more haphazard, I think, because you're such a simplistic way you approach things. You literally bought the van how far before your trip?
Like 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That's a Crank Revolution way.
Yeah.
Right
So
there.
literally, the day he was going to leave town, he was finally mounting in the plywood to put his bed.
Let's if we want to start on with this. I mean, my plan for always was to leave October 1st, like get out of town. That's the hard date. And so I got the van back from the repair shop with a hefty bill on October 1st, and we at that point had not had really anything installed.
Couldn't do the van life build.
We had set up. I had put in insulation,
Okay.
had a floor and a partial ceiling.
Wait, partial.
Partial, yeah.
What, you had a convertible?
No.
Well, there was metal, but there was not much cover.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was not. The super fancy van life things that we've all seen on Facebook and Instagram that are just glorious and hundreds
that
of hours
didn't happen
of work
for you.
Yeah, so I just bolted in my bed, bolted in the bikes, and then just left.
No, my favorite though is right before you left though. It's raining outside, and he's cutting in a solar
Yep,
vent
so
into
on
the
top
roof.
of the van.
And it's like, do we just punch a hole in and cut it up? It feels kind of dirty when you take a vehicle that you just spent a ton of money on and then just start cutting holes in it.
Yeah, just taking my Dremel to it and cutting holes in the ceiling. Got it to a functional state where I left on October 1st, slept in October 1st. It was actually the coldest night that I saw the whole trip, and it got down to 34 degrees, which,
Oof.
I mean, I did have my queen size mattress in there and like full bedspread.
That's a
and,
good
like,
size
a
van
whole-
when you have a queen size.
Yes, and 3 bikes right below it, and then had my dog, and so he was just under the covers, like my warming spot. And
Was it a sleep number? Because we can get them as a sponsor.
it
at that
wasn't.
point.
I
No.
mean, yeah.
Why do I have this
that-
feeling that TC just grabbed his mattress off of his
I was literally
out of
thinking
his
that.
house?
He just grabbed it off of the box spring and
Yeah.
dragged it into the van.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's literally what he did.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's my mattress. Yeah. I mean, I put it in a plastic bag,
Well, we're not
because-
monsters. We
Yeah,
live in a
exactly. I don't
society.
Well, let's show you how much fun we've been having. Those Mercs, like, wouldn't it be funny if? And TC's like, what do you mean? I did that.
Of course I did that.
That was my life. And then it was fun though, because I had that such a basic build out, but I had like decent amount of wood with me and some of my tools. And so as I needed things, I would just build
Build
a
them
shelf
as you go.
and build storage and just start building things to make myself slightly more comfortable. But also I've done a lot of backpacking, a lot of bike packing and touring, and so when you have a van with a mattress in it, you're so much more comfortable already than you're used to when you're sleeping in a hammock on the side of the road 6 weeks at a time. So yeah, it was really, really nice to just be able to go and have 3 very nice, very technically sound bikes and go ride whatever I wanted.
Technically sound.
I was going to say, I was going to jump on that one.
But it's like I say technically sound because when you go bike touring or bike packing, you have one bike and you have everything on it.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, it'll work, but it's not the ideal tool for what you want to do. And so this was like, oh, I want to go ride big mountain stuff. I want to go ride cross country. I have bikes specifically for each of those and a road bike. And like I had the right tool for the job almost every time.
Well, that's what I love about it is you really kind of, I saw it with you because we've been business partners now for a while. So much stress coming out of that season. Like this wasn't just a trip to escape in a van and live homeless and get away from the world, although I'm sure it's part of it. But
Absolutely,
you had those 3 bikes. And what were those 3 bikes and why did you choose?
So I had my 2019 Specialized Stump Jumper, which is a custom build. So it's my big mountain bike. You know, it's what I rode mostly when I lived in Utah. And it's really set for that big, hard, rocky, drop, jumpy, gnarly trails. So I had that. I had my 2021 S-Works, Specialized S-Works Epic Evo, which is a nearly stock build, which is my great kind of all-arounder and pedal bike. And then I had my Diverge with a gravel wheel set and a road wheel set. And so I had kind of...
So what percentage did you end up doing then? Because if you those are amazing bikes. I love how he says a near stock S-Works Epic. I'm thinking, when you buy that level bike, do you really want to replace parts on it?
I mean, I always do.
No, of course you would.
Grips.
I change grips, I change
So
saddle.
between the road, gravel, the mountain, the cross-country bike, what did you spend most of your time doing out there?
So yeah, it was the big mountain bike, it was the Stump Jumper, because that was the bike that I so thoroughly enjoyed riding when I lived in Utah, and I had missed it. As I started getting out there back into trails in Colorado Springs and Fruita and Grand Junction and in Utah too. I mean, just all these places where just riding this big mountain stuff, and like that bike just eats it up, and it feels so nice. So like I'm so comfortable on there. Where I took it to the dirt jump park here today, and it was just dropping 4 or 5 feet, and just like, oh, it's 6:30 in the morning, and I'm riding with my dog, and we're all good.
So basically, you had all those different bikes. Did you ride the Epic very much at all, cross country style, or was it mostly just Stump Jumper for this trip?
The Epic really came in when I, flatted on the Stump Jumper, and because I hadn't refreshed my sealant, and like packing up the van as the moment that I left, I really just threw my bikes in and didn't do a lot of the things that I would normally do in terms of prepping them for a trip like this. Yeah, the Epic was kind of my backup mountain bike, but I would take it out. It's a very capable, very functional bike, a very fun bike, and so it would do as much as I needed that Stump Jumper to do in a lot of ways as well. So.
And now, as TC just said, flatting out from not refreshing his sealant, let's cut to TC from the mechanic's mouth.
Hey everybody, TC here, and yes, something that you're really going to want to do, and wintertime's a great time to think about refreshing your tubeless sealant. So nowadays we're looking at, road wheels are becoming more and more tubeless ready and tubeless expected. It's much more popular nowadays. Mountain bikes, it's been the thing in my opinion for the last decade. Sealant dries up over time, and sealant is what you put in a tubeless tire setup. Because you got to have something that's going to be a liquid seal between that tire and rim bead. It's not always perfect, so the sealant helps to clear that up. Also, if you get a puncture, the sealant rushes to that area and helps to seal that as well. Yeah, when I went on bike tour with 3 bikes, they were all tubeless ready, and I hadn't put new sealant in 2 of them, I knew it was a foolish thing to do. The moment that I got a flat in Fruita and I just started hearing it leak, turned that downside to get some of the sealant to get down there, and there was nothing. There was nothing liquid coming out. So in that case, you just book it back to the car to try and ride on as much air as you have. And then when it gets too low, you hop off and then, drop that bike off and then put new sealant in there, which is a relatively simple process for most tubeless setups nowadays.
So you heard it here first. Get that sealant, that liquid gold to save your ride when you're out in the middle of nowhere. And in the meantime, though, if you haven't seen our faces and you think that it's a very good idea, go to YouTube. Look for Crank Revolution. We did have a series of video podcasts we did release under the craziness of this last year. Take a look. You'll see a lot of our personalities. But now it's time to cut to Greg.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Greg.
Oh, hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hi. What are you guys doing
We
here?
haven't seen you in so long. It seems so strange because we did do that recording kind of back in August and you weren't around. What were you doing? What's been the highlight of your year?
So the highlight of my year kind of peaked early summer. I decided that finally I was going to go off on my own, spread my wings as the eagle I am, and go for a bike ride for like 2 weeks.
Nice.
And it was great. I loved every second of it. I broke every rule that I complained about to TC when we went on a bike tour a few years back.
Did you load up all of your weight onto your fork?
No, I didn't break that
Oh, okay,
rule.
cool. Hey,
I broke
you did
that rule
last time.
previously.
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
need
You
to
done
break
that
it
last
again.
time.
Stealth camp the first night. I probably stealth camped the 3 nights there. I decided that I was actually going to ride my bike from a friend of mine's house in Madison, Wisconsin, and go all the way around Lake Michigan because, well, there wasn't any other vacation you could do. You had to social distance from everybody. I figured being homeless on a bike would be a great option. And it was.
Well, except I saw some of your Instagram or Facebook along the way, and it seemed like some of your rest stops were just closed. And then other times, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I wonder how Greg's doing tonight. Because there were a couple of days where it was in the 90s and really, really high. And I'm thinking, oh man, he's going to be cooking. And then I look at a picture and it's Greg. I'm on a boat. And you're like floating. I'm like, what kind of hardship is this?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So the trip was right around 4th of July. And if you were in the Midwest at that time, you were just sweating bullets because it was nothing but a scorcher for that time. It didn't get lower than the 80s even at night. So I was just sweating constantly every day, all night long. It was hard to really get restful sleep. But one day, on the third day, I randomly bumped into a friend of mine as I'm at a laundromat, and they're 2 blocks away. And they go, hey, you want to come over for dinner? As they're at their sailboat. And I was like, of course.
Bike tour happiness.
And then,
Lotto.
I guess I just looked so sad from the heat and so beaten down that they're
You
like,
give the puppy eyes.
they were just like, do you need a place to sleep tonight? And I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't need to worry about it. And they're like, you want to sleep on the boat tonight? I was like, yes, I do. So yeah, I slept in the boat that night to sleep through one of the biggest storms I've ever slept through outdoors.
Oh, wow.
The boat I was on was like rocking back and forth. I didn't sleep for an hour as I'm listening to all the
chimes, or what do they call those? Yeah,
it was
bells.
the rope was just slapping on everybody's mast. But it was a cool night. I will say that. I've never been awoken in the middle of the night by thunder, lightning, and ever so frightening. While I'm protected by fiberglass, it gave me a moment to actually truly realize what gratitude is. Because after the 3 days been on the road, it'd been so hot and everything, and just so miserable eating whatever fast food or 7-Eleven items I can find along the way, to having a friend suddenly show up out of nowhere, be like, would you like a shower? Would you like some cold water? Do you want a comfortable place to sleep without ticks everywhere? I was like, oh, that sounds glorious.
It's like the serendipity of bike tour.
It really was. Like, what are the odds that happens on a bike tour once?
Well, the thing I find hilarious, though, is so far we're supposed to be the authorities in this wonderful cycling adventure. And we've got TC going, yeah, I didn't do my tubeless, didn't bother refreshing it. And you're like, yeah, I just ignored a bunch of ideas I was going to do and made some mistakes.
Oh, the ridiculous thing was I was drinking water like a fish. I was guzzling down about a gallon a day, and it still wasn't enough with all the heat.
Wow, yeah.
There was no clouds in the sky. You had the sun beating down on you. I learned that the orange-shouldered blackbird,
Red-winged blackbird.
thank you, is the most annoying bird in the world because they will chase you for miles.
Oh, that's awesome.
I also found out that you will meet cyclists just down the road, and while you're on tour, they just want to hang out and talk. And I spent like 2 nights talking to some people who would have never met if I had never gone on tour. And now
you're right. Yeah.
We're hoping that we are going to be able to do some races with them, once this whole pandemic's over.
Well,
So,
listeners,
you make friends.
you do. And that's the thing, listeners, like TC, we've actually still gotten in contact now going back to 2014 with Shakes. Someone we met back out in California. So guys, yeah, that's a huge thing. You make awesome cycling friendships.
But also along the lines of the like serendipitous bike tour stories. Greg randomly bumping into a friend who has a sailboat 2 blocks away at a laundromat. That's absurd.
That doesn't happen.
You and I bumping into Shakes because he had left his keys in a restaurant, figured out they left his keys, turned back around, climbed back up the hill to only find out that restaurant was then closed. And there's one hotel, and then the 3 of us were going to get a hotel instantly.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we find out that he lives in Chicago. We live about 2 blocks away. I know all the guys that built his bike.
In the middle of Redwood Forest.
And he was going from San Francisco to Portland as we were on our leg from San Francisco to Portland, and he rode with us for the next week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the law of large numbers doesn't account for this. It's just like, but it's one of those things that like everyone I know that's taken bike tour has a story that's just like, I don't know. It just happened, and it's a great thing, And so, yeah, it's just really fun memories.
Well, there's one guy, I can't remember where I was in Michigan. I'm stopped at a red light. He's there too. He rolls down his window. We're talking. He's trying to give me directions on all the places I should go. I think this was up near Escanaba or maybe a little bit north of there. And he guides me away from the main road where the Garmin was trying to get me to go. And we became Instagram friends. And the next day, he sees that I had not just 1 flat, not just 2 flats, but like 3 flats in a day. Because unlike some people, I also left unprepared for my tour and brought all of the wrong tubes accidentally. And he actually drove 60 miles out of his way to bring me spare tubes because he saw my Instagram post was saying, I have no more tubes. This is awful. So yeah, people in general are actually really good as long as you stay off of social media once in a while and you just try to,
But also, that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't posted on social media.
Yeah, the irony of that statement is,
wow.
is
It's like,
lost on me.
wait a minute.
Well, anyway,
So let's boil this down. The biggest takeaway, though, if you could go back and recircumvent the whole Lake Michigan thing, what would you do differently? What did you learn?
I'd probably go for an air-conditioned night every other night instead of
Get in the hotel.
Yeah, because I got to halfway around, I got horribly sick because of just heat stroke or heat exhaustion after so many days, and I had to cancel my entire trip because of it. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to try it again, because now I'll just go counterclockwise this time.
Well, and that's the thing is there's so many things that you can learn and correct for next time. So TC, besides not, I don't know, building the home before you lived in it, not refreshing your, sealant when you have 3 bikes, was there anything though that
I mean, truly,
you
I
would have
wouldn't
done?
change anything.
You wouldn't
like,
change a single
it's
thing.
ones where any journey where you're taking a month and trying to do things completely differently, there's always going to be something. But you have to, for me, I was reading a lot of philosophy while I was doing this too. So, really, really thinking a lot while out there. But really just, there's always going to be something. And so if it's something as simple as I didn't bring sealant, that's a very, very easy solution. Likewise to a lot of things, because I just grabbed my other bike and then went to town and grabbed sealant, went to a bike shop that I hadn't been to before. I knew a bunch of guys there and had a good time. So, it's just, there's always going to be something. So just kind of prepare for what's going to be the most difficult, and simple things. Don't worry about it.
Well, the thing I think all of us should be thinking about, especially Merck, since we touched that earlier, you and I, on our fitness level currently. 2020 was supposed to be the time, let's legitimize ourselves, become amazing cyclists. Merck, you were going to race track. TC, you were
I was
going to
race
track.
Oh,
Greg, you had all these big
I was
goals
going to go,
too.
okay,
like
let's do a
still
long
sitting
trip.
there.
Yeah, and the fact
Ready
is
to
none
go.
of us kind of met our best self this year, and I think that's probably true for so many of us out there. So the key is right now, with all these new people discovering these things, what are we going to do to stay in shape going into next year? We still have these stay-at-home orders and these crazy things going on, but how are we going to keep that fitness? For me, I did go out and decide just to get myself the whole load out of the new Wahoo kicker, the climb, which basically, those things when you put a quarter in outside of the Woolworths as a kid and they're riding up and down. I'll be doing Zwift the fun way, and I did get a headwind, which for me
Wait,
seems
indoors you got a headwind?
No, it's an actual fan that's over $200.
It's a smart
and
fan.
It's a very smart fan, yeah. So we'll see how that goes, because I do need to catch up my fitness after this 2020. Merck, what's your big plan?
I've already got set up my trainer bike,
And what are you using on the trainer?
the Wahoo kicker,
Oh, so
and then
2 kickers.
Zwift. But I'm not as fancy as you. I don't have a headwind or a climb or anything like that. I'm just afraid of the climb. I'm afraid that you get too steep and I'm just going to roll off the back.
Fall off the back. For me, I just have to keep my make it fun so that I actually enjoy doing it. So that's 2 kickers for indoor trainers. So for those guys out there just rediscovering it, go to your local bike shop. If it's not, say, the Crank Pollution Bike Shop in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, go somewhere else and you can actually find out. You can put most bikes onto a trainer. It doesn't have to be a 700C road bike. Definitely get yourself a smooth tire. Greg, what are you rocking these days? What's your plan for the winter?
Well, my plan was running for the longest time because I just didn't want to deal with the lack of sunlight. But I'm moving to the indoor trainer. I've got the Ceres H3, jump between Zwift or Ruvi, a few different programs, and just try to get back to strength again. So if indoor cycling time trials become a thing, I can hit the ground running in early spring.
Now, that's the thing, too, is what we're talking about here. So direct drive type trainers, the Wahoo kicker you find up in that $1,200 range. The Ceres you can pick up anywhere that $1,000 to $1,100, depending on whether it's a connected kit or not. They're both amazing trainers. Ceres, though, is made in the USA.
And their customer service has been absolutely great. I had a weird sound that was coming from my trainer. I literally sent them an email of that sound recorded from my phone. They got back to me in 24 hours and started to diagnose the problem with me. It was like, wow, I don't get the service from literally anybody else.
Yeah, and the barrier for entry, I don't think if you just got your hybrid out of the garage, you're looking for a $1,200 trainer. There are wheel-on trainers that you bolt your bike into. Those can be in that $500 to $600 range, or you can even get yourself a fluid or a magnetic, getting from that $100 range to $150. What I'd say, though, you do get what you pay for. If you buy something that's got a 6-ounce little flywheel, it's not going to feel like anything but an exercise bike at a YMCA.
No, you're absolutely right, because when you're on a fluid trainer, you get to your maximum resistance and it just doesn't change. So if you're strong enough, you're just going to ride at that same level indefinitely versus, spending $500 up to $1,000, you can get something that'll variable and change for yourself.
Yeah, no, I left TC out of this one for a reason. Last winter, basically, I don't know how to put this because I think I still have some weird memories. He basically just donned a skin suit and watched the whole seasons of Parks and Rec on his track bike on rollers. Was that right?
What would Ron say about that?
And I just remember one time I walked around the corner, he had just finished, and he's sitting there at his bench taking a swig with his skin suit hanging around his waist. And I'm like, what am I watching here? It's like Crank Revolution nights.
I mean, like, but yeah, my winter, I mean, I'm really not looking to do too much of indoor training. I'm still riding outside. I was out at 6 a.m. this morning. I'll be rock climbing. If we get some snow, I'll be cross-country skiing. And then, yeah, I mean, I'll probably be riding. Because I feel like my dog's out of shape. I mean, we spent a month on the road, and he ran and rode almost every day. Yeah, we're going to keep that going.
Yeah.
Get him back into shape. And so that requires me being outside and exercising more.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I see our shop dog right now, and I'm looking at him, and he's laying on our couch. So we set up basically a whole theater inside the bike shop. We have a huge, is it called like a sectional couch?
It is sectional, yeah.
A big pull-down projector. We mounted speakers up in the ceiling. And why? Because we have Mandalorian Fridays. So that's, we're working really hard here in the bike shop, aren't we?
I mean, hey, we may as well have a nice entertainment system as we work all day long.
Yeah, that's true. So any new thoughts for you guys? What else you got going out there? What advice would you want to give to somebody who just got into the sport? And we're going to boil it down to 60 seconds.
Just keep riding. Don't stop. Keep riding.
What about if it red light?
That's like 8
Red
seconds.
light, yeah. Huh?
It's just like 8 seconds, yes. You have been a bike store manager for so many years. This is your 160-second elevator pitch to everyone who just rode a bike. What do you got?
Just keep riding.
Yeah, that's about
Just
right.
ride. Ride. If you have a question, go to your local bike shop. Ask that question.
You can ride your bike to the bike shop.
You can ride your bike to the bike shop.
Well, unlike the rest of you guys, I don't work in a bike shop, but every single one of my coworkers love to just call me up and be like, hey, I bought a bike. I've been riding. I'm like, oh, cool. How's that going? And they tell me, they talk about it. It's like, well, what questions do you have? And they just keep going. And I just go, just ask more questions. Don't be shy. You want to get into the sport, just keep asking. Someone will help you.
Wait. I do have to interrupt really quick. One of those questions is, why does my butt hurt?
4 different people within accounting asked me that question.
In accounting. And the reason why I say that is
They sit on their butts all day long.
Well, yeah, they know spreadsheets. That's about it.
Yes.
no question will embarrass a bike shop employee.
No, definitely not.
That's true. I've heard some doozies.
Yes.
Yeah. Not repeatable and pleasant
No,
company either.
I'm not even sure a podcast.
You people ask
rated.
questions, just like, I wouldn't say that in public. But okay.
Whenever I have somebody that comes up, it's like, I'm a nurse. I'm going to explain this to you. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that was half of my conversations was just like, all right, pretend that HR isn't on the phone. Go ahead. Just describe what the issue you're having and we'll get through it.
What about you, TC? The best piece of new advice you have for somebody just getting in? There's millions of new riders.
I mean, yeah, there's millions of new riders, and we hit it well on the head. Like, yeah, just do it. Just start. And for me, it's like do what makes you happy. So right now, like, yeah, I have too many bikes, but I'm really only riding my mountain bikes, and I'm actually changing up how I ride my mountain bikes. I'm actually buying a new one so that I can simplify and ride a very, very basic bike as opposed to the very fancy things, because it forces me to be better on my skills and my, to be a better rider and not let the technology speak for me. So that's my focus right now. And so that's when we're like, yeah, if you're getting into the sport, just do what makes you happy and keep chasing that.
My biggest one is stop with all the weird, prideful things. Nobody looks awesome in Lycra when they're getting into it for weight loss or fitness for the first time, but bike shorts, it saves your butt. Get some butt butter. If you're getting rubbing and chafing and you got stingy parts, put some chamois butter on there. That's very, very important.
Chamois saves lives. That's your tagline here.
And I'm about to take probably $10 million out of the bicycle industry, but I cannot tell you the number of people who came in with pinch flats because they did not gas up their tires every single ride. So guys, if you're new, take care of that bottom, but at the same time, get a pump and pump up every time you go through the door. It's going to cost your bike shops a little bit of money from service there, but at the same time, you will enjoy your ride and you won't be taking that 7-mile walk of shame back to your car.
Get in my mouth.
Definitely
Would you
do
go
that.
pecan pie?
No, that's how weirdos say it.
Nobody? When Harry Met Sally?
No.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
This is like way before my time, so.
Not having what she's having.
Oh, my friends, that has been another episode of the Crank Revolution podcast. First thing we'd like to say is thank you. Thanks for being our listeners and sharing the show with your friends. Leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts. We love the feedback. You can reach out to us by email at crankrevolutioncycling@gmail.com and find us on Facebook at Crank Revolution Media.